Okay. Okay,
Yeah, sounds
so
great. And
yeah.
do you know like Upama, Tasnia Alom Upama? She's a new member. I think you met
I don't think
Imam
so.
and Simki last time.
Yeah, I've met Ima.
Upama, would you like to
Yeah.
introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Tasnia Alumupama. I have been working as senior research assistant at ICDDRB. Previously, I worked with another team, so I was not in the meetings of previous times. So I've just recently joined this project with Mubhai. So this is my first time with you all. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you as well. Great. Okay. So I'll start us off with a bit of an introduction. As most of you know, my name is Suraj Araj. My colleague Habib Yakubu will also be joining. We are both associate directors for research projects at Emory University, which is based in Atlanta, Georgia, in the southern United States. We've been working with ICDDRB since I think 2016, so almost 10 years, with Mobai, Nubai, and many others. And we really enjoy this collaboration. We're very excited for this work with the SaniPath assessment to continue as part of the Promise Consortium. So today's training, there are two main goals. The first is following Shimki's email. Thank you so much for sending that. That was very helpful. There were two areas that were highlighted as areas that the team wanted more training on. So the first is on school surveys. So conducting school surveys for the SaniPath assessment. And the second is on the SaniPath tool platform itself. So this is the software that is used to collect the data. Um, we'll also have any time for additional questions. We set aside 3 hours for this call, which I know is long, and you all it's evening for you. And so I wanted to set that time aside just in case, but my hope is that we'll finish faster. But we have the time in case there's questions and things that come up. Um, so, to begin with, I think what we will do is start with any just questions you have generally, conceptually about the SaniPath assessment before we start getting into the tool platform training as well as the school survey training. I will be doing the training on the tool platform, and then my colleague Habib, who just joined, will be training on the school survey. But to begin with, I want to just have and see and understand if there are any questions about conceptually about SaniPath, why we're doing it, the different pathways, how this information comes together. You can, of course, continue to ask these questions as we go through the training, but if you do have any questions now, I just want to start off with that before we get into more details. So feel free to just jump in or unmute yourself if you have a question. Yeah, nothing? Okay. So
Maybe
I
maybe
have one
Imam is
question.
unmuted.
go ahead. Yes.
It's about one little confusion that we have four wards in one municipality, and we have selected two municipalities for this study.
Okay.
One is Paikyacha and another one is Lalmonirhat. But at first we are starting from Paikyacha. So my question is, we stated in the questionnaire that the Paikyacha as neighborhood or or as a municipality. Like, how do we address ward and municipality, how we distinguish these two part actually. So it's like I'm little bit confused. Like some in some question I just said that it's ward based, and in some question I said that it's neighborhood. In some question I added address is it as a municipality. So I have terminology confusion
Sure,
in
sure.
this
Yeah.
regard.
Thank you for this question. And you go by Shimki, correct? Is that correct? Or Nafia?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Shimki is all right.
Okay, okay. So Shimki, you said that you are working in two municipalities and then four wards within each municipality or among both. Is that correct?
No, each municipality, 4 wards.
So eight total.
We do not know actually what's the status of the Lalmonirhat municipality because we haven't started it yet. So I, I am about questioning about what is the what will be the actual neighborhood for Paikgacha municipality.
Sure, sure. Um, so I think it depends on how you want to define it. So generally, from my understanding of what you're saying, Shimki, the municipality would be the same as the city or the larger category within which the assessment will happen. And then within that municipality, you may have each ward may be a neighborhood or a community. However, this depends on how large they are and it I also it may be helpful for me to understand the administrative units. Are municipalities smaller than a city? Are they the same as a city or a town? Um, how big are the wards? These are questions that may help in defining them. But based on what you are saying, I think a ward would be closer to a neighborhood. But please go ahead and explain that to me further in terms of how the administrative units are structured.
Okay. Paikgacha municipality mainly consists of 9 wards. We have selected 4 wards among them, and each wards is it's like a cluster. So we selected a 4 cluster or 4 neighborhood mainly. So this is the scenario of the Paikgacha right now that we it's actually under it's actually mainly consists of 9 wards each municipality.
Okay. And then is the municipality similar to a town or a city?
Uh, it's like small city,
Okay. Okay.
peri-urban area.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so then I would say that each ward would be comparable to the unit of a neighborhood within the SaniPath assessment. So for each ward, you would collect a set of samples for all of the different pathways and conduct all of the surveys. So if you're collecting 100 surveys, school surveys, you would do 100 school surveys per ward. And if you're collecting 10 samples for every pathway, you would do that for every pathway um, in every ward. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. If as we're going through, if you have further questions, then please feel free to ask them too.
No, I got it. So
Okay.
I have no more question.
I had one question about
So
the tool.
Simki,
Do I ask it now or later?
yeah, yeah, sure,
Sure.
please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Sure. Actually, I was trying to operate the SaniPath tool. So when I started the configuration phase, so I selected all the options that are suitable to our study or assessment.
Mhm.
Then after selecting those, there was an option like save and initiate training, for which I needed to click that and went forward to the training phase, but I couldn't. I think that option was not working, so I couldn't went forward to the training phase. It was saying that there were some server issues. Every time I am clicking that save and initiate training, this is not working, and I'm not able to go to the next phase, which is training phase. So I'm
Okay.
just stuck in the configuration phase.
Sure, sure. So
I'm also stuck in the same phase.
Okay, okay. So we're gonna that might be a good transition to talking about the tool itself. So I'm gonna not answer that right now, but I'm gonna show you. And then we I have an idea of what may have happened. But as we go through it, you can also let me know if that looks similar to what you're experiencing or not. Okay? So
Okay.
if that's okay, I'm going to pause that question so I can show you and we can go through the platform together. Is that okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, great. Okay, any other questions before we start?
So Surajapa, at this stage, I think simply for you, like we need to define our administrative areas like Khulna City Corporation. Within Khulna City Corporation is Paikgacha district or like municipality. So Paikgacha municipality, so all the demographic information we need, including the population density and other things. So these are required for interpreting the community in the future. So please
Yes.
take this note and hopefully we'll get this information.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I'm
okay, okay, noted.
Yeah, and I'm happy to, if you send across this information, we can look at it again. Yeah, we can give feedback on what makes sense in the way you organize it. Or if you have any other questions. But I think it will be good for you to collect that information, as Nubai said, to interpret the results and also understand how you would best organize the assessment. Okay. So I'm going to just start off with a quick review to show you what we're going to be talking about today. So you might be familiar with this chart, you may have seen it, but this really shows the process for going through the SaniPath tool, right? So the first thing we have is key informant interviews and transect walks. These are preliminary assessments that will help to define the pathways, sampling sites within each neighborhood, and contextualize the situation. Now, have your team done this already? Done the preliminary assessment?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we did.
did. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I thought. Okay, so you've done this part and you're now trying to set up the online platform to prepare yourselves for the behavioral and environmental data collection. So this is the surveys and then the sample collection form. So this part, this section, all of this can be managed on the SaniPath tool website, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So it can manage all aspects of the data collection, the analysis, and the reporting. And so you will get, you can generate this profiles and statistics. And then you'll also have a final report that you can generate through that. Okay. Um, so the next thing is I want to show you how this is structured. So we made this tool with the help of a group of consultants almost 8 years ago. And so at this point, really, we have used it for many cities, and but there, we still would love opportunities to improve upon this tool. And if there's additional funding at some point, there are certainly things that we think could improve or we could update. But there's a couple different pieces to this. So there's the mobile data collection component. There's the cloud, which is where the data is stored. And then there's our online tool platform, which can be accessed through a browser. So many of you may be familiar with mobile data collection. So this, you can use very different types of apps to collect data. We use Kobo Collect, which is part of Kobo Toolbox, but there's also RedCap, there's MWater, there's many different platforms you can use to collect data. What we have done in building this tool, which I'm explaining to you so you kind of understand how this all connects, and if you run into problems, also what may be related to the issue. So to make this tool, we worked with the team to build a website that would help generate the results and help you fill out information on how to customize your forms. But we didn't actually make the survey form platform itself, the mobile data collection platform ourselves. Kobo Toolbox is open source, which means that the the software can be duplicated and used by other people. And so what we did is we made a copy of that software on our server, and that copy connects to our website. So this will become relevant because when you create a password on the SaniPath tool website, you are also creating a password on Kobo Toolbox. And so when that happens, then you can link the results. So what you set up, so if you say, I want 5 pathways in my data collection, it will communicate that to Kobo Toolbox to help customize your forms. So this is how we have that together. And then the data is collected and then it gets sent back to our website to generate the analysis. So on the cloud, it does the risk assessment analysis, it does the modeling, and then it actually generates the different graphs. And this is also then can also generate the results. So what's happening is there's a couple different pieces talking to each other. There's the website talking to the mobile data collection, which will then send information back to the website. So all of this together is what we've been calling the tool platform. But for your purposes, this is where you will manage the data collection. You can customize it, and you can also check on the real-time results. Um, so, um, so there's a question from Nuhu in the box. We will do some pre-testing of the household surveys and would like to share or upload to the SaniPath server as test data. Yes, that's fine to do, and I can show you how that can work as well. So I just wanted to mention this. I know we're not all programmers or understand all of this in detail, but I think what I'd like you to take away from this is there's a website, it talks to the mobile app and to a server where data is, and all of them communicate to each other in order to customize, collect, and analyze the data. So any questions so far? Okay, so from there, I'm going to take you to the website. So are you still seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this is the SaniPath tool website, and there's a few different things on here I want to point to. So the first is at this button, which will be useful to you for this training. This is a link to our there's either here you can click a link to our YouTube channel for all of the YouTube trainings, or you can go under resources and to YouTube tool tutorials, which will also open it up. The other resource I want you to be aware of is the SaniPath Wiki. So if you click on that, you have a website that includes all of the protocols and details about the protocols. We have run into an issue where some of the links are not working. So I apologize for that, and we're working on correcting that to make sure all the links are working correctly. And so I will make sure to send this link again to you so that you know it when it's all working. But I just want to point out that there's a lot of information here that can be useful to you if you haven't already looked at it. Other things that is very important and relevant is probably most important is the tool portal. So this is going to take you to the SaniPath tool website, which is this. It can also be reached by going to tool.sanipath.org. Um, and so this is where you can log into the tool. Um, and then I think also something you likely won't use, but I'd like you to know is there is if you click on this little fox, or you can actually get to all of the code and the behind the scenes of the SaniPath tool. So someday when you're SaniPath experts and become programming experts, if you ever want to look in deeper into the tool, this is where you can do that, including the analysis and everything. So some of you I know are interested in learning more about the analysis, so you may end up looking at this at some point when we get to that point. So I'm going to go now to the SaniPath tool website, which I think several of you have been to already. Um, and so what I'm going to do is walk you through the process of setting up a deployment, and then we'll go from there. So this is the website. If you want to create a new account, you can register as a new user. And so you can put in your email address. So I'm just putting in an example so that I can show you all. So I'm just going to call it Bangladesh 2 because I already made a Bangladesh 1. So you put in your email address. For a username, you can choose any username that makes sense to you. So I'm going to call it Bangladesh test. Let's try that. And then you have to choose a password. And so this might be, I think Shimki and Tasnia, you both mentioned that you had an issue with the server. And it's possible it's this. And without looking into it, I'm happy to email with you to figure out exactly what went on. But my thought is that it could be related to this. So our SaniPath website has a requirement that you have at least 8 characters in the password, but it's come to my attention that the Kobo Toolbox website has more strict password requirements. And so if the SaniPath password does not meet the requirements of the Kobo Toolbox website, when you create an account and it automatically creates an account for Kobo Toolbox, it creates a problem because then the Kobo Toolbox account doesn't work and the two pieces aren't communicating. So remember how we were talking about how all of these pieces need to communicate to each other. If they can't communicate, sometimes there may be an error. So that's my hypothesis of what could be a problem. So the Kobo Toolbox website requires that the password is between 2 and 30 characters. It has to be all lowercase letters or numbers and underscores. And the first character has to be a letter. So I can send that in an email too, just so that you have it. It is on the Kobo Toolbox website, but I think something we would like to do is make sure it's on this page too eventually. But let's just come up with a password. Maybe we can say, Bangladesh test underscore 2. I'm gonna call that the password, and I'm gonna BD test underscore 2. And I'm going to go ahead and sign up with that. Just going to add this just for me to be able to log in. Oh, it's too similar to the username. So that it will tell you if your password is not going to work. So let's call it something else. Maybe let's call it let's see. Maybe we'll just say Bangladesh. We'll just do Bangladesh underscore 2. And then we'll do Bangladesh underscore 2. Let's see if it likes that one. Yes, so it liked that one. Okay, so let me do that. And the username I said was BD test. So BD test 2, I think. Was it BD test 2? This is a good question. Does anybody remember what I did? Okay. So then you can go ahead and register for this website and for the actual data collection. So I'm guessing that maybe you got to this point, Shimki?
Yeah, I got this.
You got this.
But
Okay.
but
So
I have another issue because I have uh, click on the deployment section, and that notified me that if you click on the deployment section, then you cannot go back like
yes,
configuration and
yeah,
training section.
that's
So I
correct.
I, I am locked in this phase.
Yes, we will get to all of that. Yeah, yeah, we'll get to that. So, hold your questions on the further steps until we get to that. But I just want to make sure if you were able to get to this point right now. So, this just tells you about the website and how to do your project management on it. So, there's four different parts. There's configuration, training, deployment, and results. So configuration is where you can tailor the SaniPath deployment to your context. Training is for practice. So if you want to collect sample surveys, you want to do anything like that, this is where you can do that, okay? Deployment is for actual data collection. Once you go to that, you will not be able to go back to configuration and training, which is what Shimki was saying. So if you move forward to that, you cannot go back. You will, and if you want to go back, you basically will have to create a new account. The reason for this is because once you go to deployment, we expect that you are doing your active data collection. And if you start changing the questions or neighborhood, well, you can change, you can add neighborhoods, but if you start changing the questions or, removing pathways or adding pathways at that point, you could mess with the analysis and you could mess with how the results can be interpreted accidentally. So we lock it just to make sure that there's no accidental changes that will affect how the results can be done. Now, yes, this is limiting because if you want to make a change that is justified, you won't be able to do it. But in making this SaniPath assessment, the goal was really to make it simpler for people who are trying to do this assessment without necessarily lots of risk assessment expertise. So it was a balance between making it easier and sort of foolproof, if you will, hard to mess up versus having some of that flexibility. If you need to, for some reason, be able to make some changes, do some things, if you anticipate that, let's talk about that and what that could mean after we do this training today. But that's the reason, Shimki, you were not able to go back. But it's okay because you can create another account, you can go back and you can play around with it. And I think it's understandable that you're trying to figure out the website. So there is also, you will see on the web as we create this that each module, there will be a tab at the top of this page, and it will start off with a blank checkbox. And then once you complete it, there will be a check mark. And then if it's locked and you cannot move back, there will be a lock sign. So this is just to give you a general overview of how this works. So then you can kind of, for registering for this username, BD test, you can put your name in. I'm putting my name, and then I'm going to say Bangladesh test. I'm just going to call it that. And for this Kobo Toolbox password, it must match what you put in at the beginning. So I put Bangladesh lowercase, Bangladesh _2. If you remember that, we have, let's see, Bangladesh _2. I'm just double checking that I put the right, I email or right password. So I put Bangladesh _2. And then I have put that in under here. So Bangladesh underscore 2. Okay. So then you choose your country. So we would choose Bangladesh. And then you choose the season in which the assessment is being conducted, the rainy season or the dry season. So let's choose rainy season. And then once you have this all finished, then you can save and continue to configure. Okay, so now you're on the configure page, which if you made it all the way to deployment, you should have already seen this page, but this is where you can answer questions to customize your deployment. So to configure your following the deployment, you need to know who you will interview and how to collect the data by selecting different behavior surveys, what pathways you're interested in analyzing, where you will collect data by identifying neighborhoods of interest, and how you'll measure contamination by selecting the appropriate lab method. So you will be able to continue editing the project throughout the training phase, but you will not be able to edit once you move to the deployment phase. And as I said, this is to minimize risk of data collection errors once data collection begins. So it says here that you won't be able to move back, and that's exactly what happens when you go into the deployment phase. So the first section is on the behavioral surveys and pathways. So maybe I can ask Shimki, Tasnia, and Imam to help me suggest, based on what you have decided for the team, which surveys you'll be collecting and for which pathways. So
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Open drain water, raw produce, drinking water, surface water,
Mhm.
then street food.
Street food. Okay. And for which
We have
surveys?
also added flood water, I guess.
Flood water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, flood water.
Okay. Yep. And you're doing all 3 surveys, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you'll notice, you can either select each like check mark individually, or if you're doing all 3 surveys, you can press it right by the name and you can select or unselect. And this also goes for the survey types. So I could either just, go all the way down and select household survey, or I can, since we're not doing all of the pathways, I can select it based on the pathway, not on the survey type. So you can select what you want. So now we have open drains, raw produce, drinking water, surface water, flood water, and street food. The next thing is the populations. And so can someone tell me which populations you will be interviewing and for which surveys?
Adults for household data and community data, and children for school data.
So are you asking about children during the household data and the community data collection as well?
No, we only ask the adult.
You're not planning on asking about children to the household or the community?
No,
And you're not planning on asking the adults in the school?
no.
Could you expand on why you decided to do that? So typically we recommend collecting both from each type of survey, but there may be situations where you decide one or the other. And so I'd like to understand better the rationale.
Um, it's actually our when we write the protocol for this project, we saw the previous SaniPath project, and there we found that. In household data that time we collected only mothers data who have under 5 years old children. So and there was a age limit. So we just followed that project and the previous paper. So we decided on based on this data actually.
So the previous SaniPath study in Bangladesh did collect adult and children data for each
Yeah,
of these, for all three. And
yeah,
it was asked for young children, but actually the SaniPath data collection is for children ages 5 to 10 is the focus, five like school age children rather. So, 5 to,
yeah.
older.
We are planning to collect data for school children, which age will be from 5 to 17, in between
Yeah.
this age range, and an adult will be 18 to 64 for community and household.
Okay, but you're not asking about the children at all for the household and community data.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um,
So,
Go ahead, Habib.
Saja, maybe you should explain better. Um,
Yeah, you feel free to, why don't you jump in if you have.
Yeah, yeah. Surajapa, for children, like, what is your recommendation on the?
Habib, go ahead. Why don't you? It sounds like you have something you can add. So,
no, so the questionnaire we have for SaniPath, the questions ask the adults, where it says adults, we are going to ask them about themselves. And then where it says children, it's going to also be applied, it's questions that will go to the adults about the children in their household. So we usually recommend that you have that both you ask the adult
oh,
and
I
themselves.
see the misunderstanding now. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I didn't understand that, but maybe Shimki, maybe we're talking about two different things. Who is going to be interviewed and who you're collecting data about. Okay, so I think what we have right now, adults for the household community survey are going to be interviewed, and then children will be interviewed for the school survey. But who are you going to collect interview information about? Are you collecting it about adults and the behavior of their children for each one, or only about adults and only about children?
No, no, no. We will ask questions about children from we will extract data from their caregiver or mother
Okay, so that's what you need to select. So thank you,
about
Habib.
children. That a questionnaire will be about children.
For which one? The questionnaire should be about both adult behavior and child behavior. Yeah.
Yes, you are right, Surajappa. In the
Yeah.
Okay.
in the survey, I think there is both for adult and child, but simply we have to cross check again. We will ask all the question to the mother or the caregiver, but we have to ask separately to the children behavior and the parents behavior as well, like mother's behavior.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
I
oh,
apologize for the confusion, and thank you, Habib, for catching that. So yeah, so here what you need to select is who you're asking questions about, not who you're interviewing. So you would choose if you have both, if you want to ask questions about both adults and children, you need to select both. That's why I was confused because I thought you were asking about both behaviors, but now I understand. So then you would have all of these selected if you're asking questions both about adults and children for each of these survey types. And then we have the lab methods. Now, which lab method will your team be using? I know the answer, but I want
membrane filtration.
membrane filtration, correct. Okay. So now you fill that out. This is where you can add neighborhoods. So you mentioned, Shimki, that there are 4 neighborhoods that you may collect data from Paikaghat municipality and then potentially another municipality as well. So this is where you would add that. So I'm just going to, for the example, just call them Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, but you would name them according to what makes sense for you. So here you can put the ward, you can put any notes. This is just for yourself to have some idea. And since we don't have an ocean near this community, then you don't have to select it, but if there is, you would select it. So you would just add one word and you can add each one. So I'm going to add 4 for this example, just so you can see. And you can add the word more neighborhoods later. You can add more words later, even in the deployment section. So if you do want to do that, you can. So only thing you cannot change is you cannot change the survey types, you cannot change the pathways once you move to this deployment tab, but you can add more words. Okay? So
Okay.
any question on this page now?
I have one question. Like,
Sure.
in the last section, you added 4 words, and there was a question like, is it near ocean or something like that?
Yes.
If there is an ocean near that municipality or that word, and we do not select this because this is quite far away from that ocean, from that neighborhood, then what will be the impact if we do not add this section, or if we add this or click on this section?
Good question, Shimki. So the purpose of this is if you select oceans as a pathway that you will be collecting data on, then we know that it may not be possible that the ocean is irrelevant in every ward because some may be close to the ocean and it is a relevant pathway and some may not. So in that case, if you select near an ocean, then it will include the ocean pathway for that ward. If you don't select it, it will not include the ocean pathway. However, since in your data collection, there is no plan to collect information about oceans because, as you say, it may be at the municipality, but not near these wards, then it is not relevant to you. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions?
But
Yeah.
if there is, yeah, yeah. But if there is a river, then what should I we do?
So for the river, you have the surface water pathway here, and that is selected, so it will be included. So it is included in the data collection.
Okay, good. Yeah,
So as
thank you.
long as you select for river surface water, then it will be included.
Yeah.
Other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. So now we go to save and initiate training. So there'll be a note here that says you will be able to continue editing your project configuration throughout training phase, but you will not be able to edit it once you move to deployment phase. So again, this is another warning that says that you will not be able to edit it if you go to deployment, but in training phase you can. So we're going to click continue for now, and it's thinking for a moment, but it's taking a little while today, but yes, okay. So now we're on the training page, okay? So here in this page, you can view the form content, you can do advanced edits or translation, and you can download paper forms if you want. This you can still make changes on. So let me give you an example. So you can view form content. So let's say the household survey. If you click that, it will open all the questions for the household survey. So it'll show the variable name question, the type of question, whether it's a text or a number or a note, the information in the text, whether it's required question or not, whether it's focused on general question, if it's for adults or children, which pathway it's relevant to. And then this is just for how they select the options. So it's not super relevant unless you want to do more advanced edits. And then there's the translation. So if you want to add a translation, So you can actually put copy paste translation in here. This is one way to do it. So you can copy paste your translated text in there and it will show up in the mobile data collection form if you want in the Bangla as well as English. But there's also another way you can do that, which I can show you. So this is just how it looks, and you can do that. You can look at this for all of the different forms. Then there's also advanced forms. So here you can actually do more editing. So this, if you click it, it will download a CSV file or Excel file. And I'm going to show it to you. Let's see. So we have this Excel file. If I can get this to go here. And so this Excel file is how Kobo Toolbox actually stores all of the information about a specific questionnaire or survey. So it has the same information that I just showed you, the type of question, the name, the description, if it's required. And if you have any experience with Kobo Toolbox, this also shows the constraints and how it is done. We do not recommend doing this unless you are comfortable with Kobo Toolbox. You can change some wording in here as well. However, if you change the wording of questions, you have to realize that the analysis will not take that into account. So we don't recommend changing this unless you really know what you're trying to do here. But I just wanted to show this to you so you can view information in a different way. Maybe just really quickly, do any of you have prior example with Kobo Toolbox? Have you used it, made forms on it before? Okay, so I'm guessing no, since it's quiet, unless someone else says
Yeah,
something.
I did so earlier.
Okay, so Imam, you have some experience. So this probably looks familiar to you. I would just say that this is really there for more involved edits. You can add additional questions or you could, make some changes, but if you do that, it's not going to be reflected in the risk assessment analysis, which is the big thing that is important for you to understand. So if you change something here, it's not going to automatically change the analysis. And then you have to be very careful in how it might change your analysis and interpretation of those results. But I want you to know that it's here as an option. If at some point you do, we do find the need to do that. The other thing, if you want to do more of this, on the SaniPath Tool YouTube channel, there is a more detailed tutorial about right here, number 6, advanced users Kobo survey editing. So this shows 8-minute long video about how to do more with that and the details of it, or at least some level of that. So I recommend watching that if you're curious, but I'm not going to focus any more on that. The other thing that is here is actually paper forms, if you find it useful to have a printout of the form. So if you click it, then it will automatically download a Word document. And so this one shows like the questionnaires and you can select the different options on paper. Sometimes it may be helpful to have this for people if it's nice to have a hard copy, or if there's some technology issue while you're in the field, this is the backup way to collect data. Okay, so any questions on this page?
No.
Okay. So before I move on, I want to show you something else that is important to this training phase. And it is the Go to Kobo link. So there's two things. There's Kobo form status and go to Kobo. So if you click Kobo form status, it shows which surveys are hosted on Kobo Toolbox. Now you remember Kobo Toolbox is the part that does the mobile data collection. And so this website is communicating with Kobo Toolbox to tell you, oh, okay, Shimki said these are 5 pathways that we want to collect data on. So we will have that information in Kobo Toolbox. And so what you can see here is which forms have been posted. So you can say there's a school survey that was posted today, sample survey, membrane filtration, household, and community. And this is based on how we answer the question. It also tells you when it was posted. So if I go back, for example, and I add another pathway because I said, oh, we're still training and we find, oh, there's another pathway I want to include. If I change it, it will repost the forums to Kobo Toolbox. And you can see when it was doing that. Did we lose someone? I heard maybe we lost Nuhubai. Okay, well, we'll continue because this is recorded. There's also here another link where you can download the paper form and the Excel form that I was showing you as well. So if you go back and you change a pathway and you want to see them, you can click this button, Post Forms, and it will repost the forms to Kobo Toolbox and replace the old forms. So for example, say you want to add Ocean Pathway, I go back to Configure, I add Ocean here, then I go to Training, and I want to see that on Kobo Toolbox. If I click Post, it will replace that in old forms with the new ones. The second thing I want you to know is go to Kobo. This opens up the Kobo Toolbox website. So let me log out because this is not our, so this is the Kobo Toolbox website. So if I go, you click to Kobo Toolbox and it goes to this website. Now here, you need to log in with the username you selected. So remember, my username was BD test that I chose on the intro page, I think. And then the password I put was Bangladesh_2. So I'm going to put BD test and then I'm putting Bangladesh_2. And then I'm going to click login. Oops, sorry. Okay, let's do BD. Whoop. No. Did I? Apparently I'm putting in the password wrong. Or not. I apologize. Let's see. BD test, that's what we did. Can change password. Let's see. Mhm. Oh, I have to reset. I'm just gonna call this. I'm getting a new password so that I can log in. So it's saying it's not the same. Well, I should have better remembered the password or typed it correctly. Okay, so let's try
Yeah,
this
I think
again.
it's important that you write it down all the passwords somewhere, and you just copy and paste some
Okay.
as it is.
Yes, so this happens. So let's try this again. If I can get us in. But if not, I have a backup plan. Oh, well, I'm sorry about that, but I have a backup plan for you because I I messed up my own password. I've been creating so many passwords on this tool that I sometimes mix them up. But I made a test account actually. So this is actually this one, and this is called okay. So we're just gonna do this because it's an example. But when you have this we're back on the training page, and then we go to Kobo, and then we log in. So this is another account that I had created to practice. Don't do what I did and forget your password or type it incorrectly. Once you click that, it will go into Kobo Toolbox and you can see all of the different surveys. Okay, so now just to show you again where we were on the training form. We selected all of our different categories, and then you can go to the survey and you can see these surveys. And what you can do is you can preview them so you can see all of the questions. So on the survey, so you can see household ID, you can see latitude, longitude, the neighborhood, the ward. So this one I put just 3 wards. Um, did it rain? And then all of the questions for the different pathways that you chose. Um, so you can say about if for adults and children, and all of that will be in here. So for example, you can put in for one house or two, and if the house does not have children, then it will not ask questions about children. But if you say yes, then all the questions about children will be added as well. So this actually has like some skip logic. So it will change the questions based on how you answer previous questions in some cases. And so you can preview it and play around with it there as well. Nuhu had mentioned wanting to test out data collection. This is also a good place to do that. So for the data collection here, you can click you open, and in this you can actually enter data on a browser, but you can also do this on the mobile data collection app. And on the mobile data collection app, we have details on how to set up the Kobo Toolbox data collection as well on your phone, which I will send you some guidelines on because I think it's more important for us to understand this kind of overall piece. And then you can try to set up the app, especially if you use Kobo Toolbox before. That is fairly straightforward. And we'll make sure to show you that as show you where you can find those resources. I'll send that all to you as well. So this is all of the questions. If you answer these questions here and click submit, it shows up on Kobo Toolbox and you'll start seeing data. Now, this should only be used for practice right now because once you move into the deployment phase, all of the surveys, everything up on this website here, will be different. They will replace it all. So it's like you have the practice data collection, and once you're ready to start real data collection, it will erase all the practice data and have the clean, unused forms there. So only do that, only use training if you're not planning on using the data, if you still want to make potential changes to your data collection. Once you're ready to start for real, you should move on to the deployment phase. So in the deployment phase, I will show you what that looks like. But once you move to deployment, you will not be able to go back. And you will only be able to collect data, look at the results, and go to analysis as well. Okay. I see a few questions that have come up in the chat box. I think from Shimki. Do you want to bring those up?
Mm. I have one question
Sure.
for this Kobo toolbox. As you know that I am stuck in the deployment section, so I have to create a new account for for a fresh start. So
Correct.
I have already generated a Kobo tool questionnaire, and I have shared with you with the password and everything. So my question is, as I have already uploaded surveys and questionnaire in the Kobo tool, so how do I connect my previous data with new account?
So I have some follow-up questions. The first is, did you make that Kobo Toolbox account is not through the SaniPath tool, correct? It's on the Kobo Toolbox website.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you cannot link it. It will be
Okay.
separate. So the SaniPath tool, Kobo Toolbox, is a copy of Kobo Toolbox on our own server. So it is not the
Oh,
same as if you go to kobotoolbox.com. Kobo Toolbox. This website is
yeah.
not the same as this website, okay? Because
Okay.
this website is the public website. This one is like a private version that we made just for SaniPath, okay? So
Okay.
it's fine that it's separate. That's okay. You will just have to, you can keep that because that was for the additional market questions that you had sent, right? So
Yeah.
for those additional questions, it may be good to keep it separate anyway. That way you don't accidentally mess with the SaniPath tool platform questions. You'll just have to connect with it on different accounts. So what I would recommend is maybe you have a dedicated device, like a dedicated mobile device that will be used for the market questionnaires, or you do that at a different time so that you can log in with the different accounts as needed. But they are not on the same website, technically, even though it's both Kobo Toolbox, because this one is a copy of Kobo Toolbox that was used for SaniPath. Um, some people can have added an additional survey, like a custom survey, on the SaniPath website, because you can do that because it functions like normal Kobo Toolbox. However, because you're dealing with all of these surveys and it's working with the SaniPath tool and the data collection, it's not going to automatically analyze a new survey you add. And I think I recommend keeping it separate anyway, because in case there's any issues or you make some changes, you don't want to either overwhelm the server or have any problems. So I think actually what you did is the best way to do it, to keep it separate, but there is no way to link it to the SaniPath tool automatically. You can, of course, link the data by manually in your analysis. Yeah.
Okay, so if I conduct a survey, I do not need to upload the data on this SaniPath Kobo toolbox immediately. I can upload it later.
Which survey?
um, as we planned for field visit on 18th, that day if I conduct a household survey, then I will collect data in the general Kobo toolbox, and after
Oh,
finishing the data collection, and then I will upload in the Senipath website Kobo toolbox, which is a copy. So it is not mandatory to upload at the same time when I am conducting a survey in the Paigacha, that actual real-time data I need to upload in the Senipath website.
no, no, you misunderstand. You should upload it immediately on the SaniPath website. The separate Kobo toolbox should only be used for surveys that are not SaniPath related. If it's not one
Okay.
of these surveys, for example, you are planning on doing an additional marketplace survey, correct?
Yeah.
That one you can do on a separate Kobo toolbox, but all of the SaniPath surveys you have to do on this Kobo toolbox.
Oh, okay.
Does that
Okay,
make
got it.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Nubai?
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, Surajapa, thank you for this, like bring this up here. So my question is, like, so we should actually collect the questionnaire, like, collect the data, like surveys, for example, household survey using the like online server, or like offline data is also fine. Number one. And Simki, you also did some like changes in the question, although they're very minor changes, and whether that is possible to incorporate here as well.
So I'm going to answer your second question first. Yes, it is possible to make minor changes to the questions. You can, if you made them on the XLS form, on the Excel form, you can reflect them there. I assume these are changes that don't affect the data collection, but I would suggest that you share your changes. If you can highlight the changes, share them with us. We can double check to see if we think it will affect data collection or not. If it's just wording, that's okay. But if you change something from how many times a week to how many times a month, that would be a problem for the analysis unless we plan to do analysis manually. So I would ask that you share with us the changes you're planning on making so we can also just advise you if we think it will be okay with the tool. Now back to your first question about the website and the whether the survey needs to be collected on this SaniPath tool website. So, Nuhu, can you repeat that again? You're just asking if all of
So
the
yeah, like our practice, regular practice is collect the sample using the offline Kobo tool,
oh
which
yeah.
is
So
ready,
can you
and then like
collect it
we upload
offline?
it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's fine. You can do that, but so you can collect it offline and then you can connect to Wi-Fi or something later and then upload it to the SaniPath website. That's totally fine. What I don't want to happen is for it to be collected on the public version of Kobo Toolbox, because then you will not be able to collect it to the SaniPath tool. You should use the Kobo toolbox that's connected to the SaniPath tool, but you can collect it offline and then upload.
And what is
Um,
the procedure of collecting offline data? Like, is it like similar to the Excel, or like how the traditional way, or whether there is any like how we will upload, like link with that, like it is like upload, like send the data to any link, or how it is actually work. So if
So
that type of demonstration we can get, yeah, that would be helpful.
how do you currently do it?
For example, like we have to submit it to ICDB server. So we just connect that with the ICDB server with the Wi-Fi, and there is a code or like password, and we just put it and that click it down. So that's it.
But you use the
Or sometime
you collect the data on the
sometime we
Kobo
download.
Toolbox app?
Yeah, Kobo tool. ODK actually, it's like ODK.
Yeah.
Sometime,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
open the.
it's a very similar process. So you would just similar. So Kobo Toolbox and ODK are built using the similar type of approach. So Kobo Toolbox, you would, instead of the ODK collect, you would download Kobo Collect, and I'll share the information with you. And then what you will do is similar to what you do now. You will connect to a specific server, in this case, the SaniPath server. And then when you go out to data collection, you don't have Wi-Fi, you collect the forms, you fill them out on your mobile device, and then you save them. And then once you've saved them, then you can, when you come back to ICDDRB Wi-Fi, you can upload them to the SaniPath server. So it sounds very similar to what you're doing right now, but just with a different app and different server.
Okay, that sounds great. So I think we need to pilot it on 18th or 19th. So if
Okay.
you share that guideline, or like
Yes.
video link, and so
Yes.
that would be helpful as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Simki, any question? So I think
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Surajapa till now these are really great demonstration, but I would like to pause here and would like to hear from Imam, Simki,
Yes, please.
and Upama about what they think about this, and do they need any refresher again, or how it will be actually happen, because when they are themselves starting, there will be more troubleshooting and may need further help from them, and I will be away from office for the retreat, so I may not able to help them for next 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
Please speak up, all of you three.
Yeah, I have one question regarding the changes. You said that if I want to make any change in the uh, terms or in the question session, minor change, I can do that. But I have added in the questionnaire one section, like in the drinking water section, I specified it as municipal drinking water. And then in the later question, I added another question like non-municipal drinking water. So can I add non-municipal drinking water in the uh, website or the Kobo toolbox for SaniPath?
You cannot add a pathway that does not exist on the website. But it would be helpful, easier for me if you sent us the questionnaire, what you have made the change, and highlight the changes, because then we can really understand what you are trying to do and advise you better.
Okay, I can do one thing, like I have prepared a Word file, so I can highlight the changes and I can share with you.
That would be great. Thank you. And then we can
Yes,
confirm whether there's any issue or not.
Okay.
yeah, Surajapa, like why we have decided, because we don't have any clear idea about the water source,
Right, right.
particularly municipal water or drinking water. So there will be many different type of water source considering the geographical variance, and also like since this is also scarcity of water is very high in this area, like one of the topmost scarce water due to the salinity. So there might be a different source, like not municipality, but also drinking water should be the higher. Other sources would be like primary water, drinking water. So that's why we plan to add something like how to do that. And also need your suggestion, like we are planning to track municipal water, but municipal water may not be their primary source of water for all people. So how can we actually handle this as well?
Right, right. Yeah. I think I remember from the SaniPath assessment that we did in 2017 that we had a similar thing where we had both municipal and non-municipal water sources. So I think that this is a good question. We may need to consider if there's manual analysis that we can do for an additional water source. So I think that's my initial thought about that, and I understand what you're saying and why it is relevant to this situation, but you may need to consider them two different pathways, or I don't know how you want to structure them. So please, please send the example, and then we can have a better discussion about it, because I think I need to see what you're asking, and also if you're proposing adding as a separate pathway, so you have municipal water and non-municipal water, like jar water or something like that, or if you're saying within drinking water, there's two different categories, municipal water and non-municipal water. I'm not sure what you are thinking in terms of.
Yeah, I can clarify that, Surajapa. We
Sure.
are still under discussion on this. So
Yeah.
two things. One is in terms of intervention, the government is going to do the municipal water supply in 6 months or 1 year after the deployment
Hmm.
baseline, like pre-intervention area.
Okay.
And there is like the coverage of municipal water in that area is not like 100%. Like I'm not sure the percentage, but we have to collect the data. Many people is relying on the like bore well, like then surface water, and also like with the rainwater harvesting, for
Mm-hmm.
example.
Mm-hmm.
So on implementation side, I think municipal water tracking municipal water would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of usability, many people are not actually drinking the municipal water.
I
So
see.
when we ask them about whether you are going to are drinking municipal or not, they said no, but still they're drinking water for other source.
Mm-hmm.
So whether we will go for only municipal water or drinking water, uh, to actually understand the exposure of the drinking water.
This is
So this is the tricky thing.
Yeah, it is a tricky thing because I see that from a risk assessment or exposure perspective, municipal water is less relevant than other sources because people are not drinking or they don't have access or they're not drinking the municipal water. They're using something else. But if the
Exactly, yeah.
municipality is planning on doing an intervention, there's some relevance to having that municipal water data potentially.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're saying, right? Am I understanding correctly?
No, yeah, you're right.
Okay. I don't know. Habib, do you have thoughts on this? Nope. Habib, if you're talking, you're on mute. Up.
Okay, can you
Or
please,
maybe you can.
yeah, can you repeat the question again, Sojo?
No, I'm
Yeah.
asking what you think about what Nuhu was saying about the municipal versus non-municipal drinking water.
Oh yes, we've sort of actually we've done it before. So
Yeah, I know we did it in Bangladesh too, but I'm asking about that, the specific context that Nuhu was describing, where most people drink the non-municipal water in some areas because they either don't have access or for whatever reason, but there is a municipal water intervention planned coming up, so there's some relevance to having data on municipal water.
okay. Yeah, so my suggestion is to especially the way the way we it's designed is to collect whatever we have at present. Um and then based on the context, because this is an intervention that's coming in, bit of context, also collect other sources.
So basically add a pathway.
Yes, for that.
Yeah.
Yes. So other water we can add an other question similar to produce, market produce, or like other uh, uh, like other exposure. So that will be not connected or upload to the SaniPath server, but it will be analyzed separately with
Yeah.
other. So,
Yeah, you can
so
do that.
Simki and
And
team,
well, I just want
yeah,
to add
Simki and team, I
something.
think it is. Yeah, please, yeah.
Sorry, Nubai. I just wanted to add it can be added to the SaniPath server. If you want to add about exposure just to keep it in one survey. Just like for example, if you ask how many times a week do you drink non-municipal water or jar water or something, we can
Yeah,
add it
yeah, yeah.
to that SaniPath survey. It just won't be analyzed by it. So that part will be manually analyzed.
I think that's fine. That's fine. We can do that manually, and I
Yeah,
think we
or
can add.
you can add it separately like you suggested. Either is okay for that one, depending on what you think will be easier.
Yeah, I think we actually framed it along with the municipal water, so that it will be added like few more questions only rather than a new tool.
Okay.
Yeah, simply. So is it true like uh, the now it's integrated with the municipal water like other drinking water?
Oh, okay, bhai. I got it. I can add this in this way.
Okay.
Yeah. So ultimate things is number one, we can look for drinking water, and then we ask for if it is not a municipal water, we can ask like whether municipal water is secondary source of drinking water or not. Then we can utilize that. But for the sampling, I'm not sure like if we have the flexibility to collect the other drinking water, but after we analyze this drinking water data, we can decide which type of municipal water or like drinking water we should collect.
Um,
Maybe on next. Yeah.
Based on the question answer. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Okay.
So now the task for the SIMCAN team is to share the all finalized questionnaire and highlighted the changes from the original SaniPath tool, and then send to the Emory team for their review, and they will quickly review them, and we can upload this, like utilize those for the deployment.
Okay, bhai. I will send them.
Okay. So I'm just being mindful of time because I know we have to go through the school survey as well. So I want to just show you what the deployment and analysis tabs look like. And I think what I will say is if we have time, I will also go through how the mobile data collection is also set up after we do the school survey. Um, and then but I will definitely send you the guides, but I will show it to you as well. So what I'm going to do is show you the deployment and analysis so that you have an idea of what that will look like. So to do that, I'm going to go to an example we did in Mongolia because that's I don't that way you can see what it looks like with data. So we did this in Mongolia, so Central Asia, and so you can see now this is in deployment phase and it has a lock on the configure and training phase, so you can't go back. In Mongolia, they did it in five communities throughout the country. And on the deployment phase, you can see as you have collected the data, you can see what it looks like. So you can see the collected 100 household surveys, 4 school surveys, 4 community. And then you can also see how many samples were collected. So they mostly collected 10. Some communities, for example, this one did not have surface water, so you can see they didn't collect any. And you can see they collected some extra soil samples someplace, one less street food. So you can see the data collection as it's happening. And you can also see for the laboratory both unprocessed and processed samples. What does unprocessed means? This means a sample that was collected but has not yet been analyzed. So ideally what you will see is when you first collect the sample, you'll see that there's unprocessed samples, and then as they're analyzed, you will see that then it shows up in the process section. And then you can then also download the raw data. So if you click this, you will get a Excel sheet, and the Excel sheet will again show, I mean, it looks kind of crazy right now, but it has all of the data. So looks this is very hard to, this one's kind of crazy looking. I don't know why, but it will download data. The other way, which I actually think is better, is going to go to Kobo. So if you go back to Kobo Toolbox and then you log in um, with your data collection password, you can see all of the data that is collected. So archived is previous forms like from the training that were collected. So you can see they did some practice data collection with the training forms, but this is the real main data collection. So if I click, for example, household survey, you can see how many were collected. You can see the data here, and you can see like easily, you can see like what it looks like. Briefly look at the data. You can also download the data here as an Excel sheet. And there's some basic analysis on this website that you can look at, but I think it's mostly useful to be able to just quickly and easily look at the data. Um, so this is also where I recommend for quality control that the team monitors the data on the website. So between this tool website, you can see how much data is collected, if what has been collected is what you expected, versus on Kobo Toolbox, you can also then check individual data. So for example, if you want to look at the data from the lab, you can see, is this data making sense? Are they detecting E. coli? Did they put some number that was really high that doesn't really make sense? So you can flag those results, you can talk to the laboratory then, but here you can kind of easily look at the data even without downloading it, and you can see if there's anything that seems like it might be an issue for quality control. Any questions on this page? Okay.
No question. Because we do not know how to process this data because we are not able to go this far right now. But when we will upload data, then we may found issues and then we can discuss about this thing. Because
Sure.
right now we are not able to imagine what will be the next problem and something like that.
No problem, no problem. And yes, please do let us know. Like I said, we've made this tool 8 years ago, and we haven't really made any changes to the software. And we'd love to have, get funding to be able to do more. But if you do run into any questions, either conceptually on how to do, or what the analysis means or interpretation means, or if you run into a technical issue, please let us know. Obviously, conceptually, we have been evolving and working on this for a long time. On the technical end, we still have a relationship with the consultants. And so if there's an issue that comes up, please let us know. Sometimes something happens or we need to fix something, and we can always work on getting it fixed for you or figuring out what happened. So if you have any issue at all as you're going through, it's hard to know what will or will not happen if you encounter some issue during data collection or in entering data, but we are always happy to help with that.
Roger, I also wanted to add that even the training phase, as you showed, they can do the same thing and look at the forms.
Exactly. Yes, they can.
So they don't need to wait to go ahead because I think they just need to know how to play around with it. And I think it's more probably, obviously, maybe it's more for advanced when you start doing it. But even in training phase, you can still see those questions and you can see how you can edit the forms. So those forms still show up.
Yeah, good point, Habib. So, like Habib said, you can see all of these surveys. You can look at the data in your training phase just so you can play around with it too. You won't be able to see this thing, but that's okay. You won't, even if you got to the deployment phase now, you won't have any data yet, so you won't see anything. So that will come along, but this is a very useful tool to go onto the Kobo toolbox and be able to see, oh, what data did they collect during the training phase? Is it looking what I expected? Is there anything that looks off?
Okay.
Okay, so the last thing is the analysis tab. So the analysis tab is here, and what you can do is you can actually choose the analysis type. So for household data, school survey data, or community survey data with the environmental sampling information, or you can combine all three of the surveys and run the analysis as well. Um, in Mongolia, they only did the household survey for the most part. And so they did all three, but we ran the analysis for the household for this example. I apologize. They did all three, but for this example, I'll show you the household data, which shows the pie charts for the answers of how often people come into contact with each of the pathways. So you see for this is the community, and then you see produce, drinking water, surface water, etc. And then you also see the analysis of the contamination levels. So you can click histograms for that. And then this is the risk profile, the people plot. So these also are generated. So it shows the risk for the different. So if you look at produce and you compare this community and this community, you can see that the percent exposed is 74% here and here also, but the dose is much higher in this community because the people are darker red. And so people are consuming an average of 4.5 log 10 CFU per month. So you can also run it combined. So it combines the data from all three behavioral results. And when you do that, you would need, this hasn't all, you can kind of see the results for those as well. This analysis hasn't been run on this one yet, but you can request a new analysis by clicking history, and it shows what has been run or not. And so you can choose combined. I want to request an analysis. And then it will take some time to run the analysis, but if you check back later in the day, the analysis should be there. So all in all, this is where you can look at information. You can also download all of the graphs if you click images. And if you click settings, you can also filter the results so that you only look at specific pathways or specific neighborhoods, just so it's easier for you to look at the results. The last thing I want to mention is the report, and all of this we can also go through as you get closer to this point. But I just want to make sure you know it's there. Of course, once you have the data, you may want to refresher and we can talk about it again. But you can also generate a report. So you can put your analysis name, type that you want to use for which of the surveys. You can put which population you're interested in and just some basic information about your team. And you can click generate report and you will have a basic report that is generated about the analysis. The report may or may not be useful to you because you are, going to add your own analysis, you have additional information. So I think it may not be quite as relevant because you're doing additional surveys and for your context. But I want to let you know that it is there, and in case it does become something that you are finding interested in or might be useful. So I think with that, that is the SaniPath tool platform. What we have not talked about is the mobile data collection Kobo Collect. However, since your team does have experience with ODK and with Kobo Toolbox, I think it's very similar. It's almost exactly the same. And so I will prioritize maybe us talking about the school survey and sending along the guidelines for the mobile data collection. Um, and if we have time after the school survey, I'll give a quick overview of the mobile data collection for you. And then you can study the guidelines on your own. And of course, if we need to, we can touch base additionally. But I think at this point, I'll see if there's any other questions on the SaniPath tool website. And if not, then we can go from here to Habib presenting on the school survey.
I have no more question.
Tasnia, Imam?
I
Okay. Okay then. I will toss it over to Habib. And
Okay, Surajapa, I think from your presentation and discussion, I think few critical things need to note down. Number one, the survey for children and adult that needs to sort out while sharing the tool with you. So that's one critical things, and also like pathways like municipal or drinking water, that's another part that we need to actually uh, clarify as soon as possible.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Let's definitely, you can send over the information we requested and we can work with you to get those sorted out soon.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, now I will turn it over to Habib to talk about the school survey.
Yeah, thank you, Soja. Can you allow me to share my screen?
Sure, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay. So just briefly, the school survey is really short, just briefly, just for you to walk through. And hopefully you can, amongst yourself, try and practice it, but it's really straightforward. So for the school survey, before I wanted to start on even how to select the schools, which is not on this slide. So, as you've mentioned, you have different wards in this municipality, and you've selected 4 wards. So the idea is for each ward, you have to find public schools. So they should be public schools as much as possible. We only recommend private schools if there are no public schools in the school. So you have to one within each ward look for schools, and we recommend at least 2 schools in each neighborhood or in each ward, as you mentioned. So you have to means you have to go to, I don't know how the rules and regulations about doing, surveys in schools in Bangladesh, and I'm sure you've done it. Muhu and team, I know you've done it before. Is try to get all the permissions, and go to the school, try and get all that ahead of time. Once you do that ahead of time, then you also have to explain to the school what you are actually coming to do. Usually the schools want to know what are you coming to do? And then you have to plan it in such a way that it will not disrupt the regular school time. So you probably can see if maybe during a break or during a lunchtime, or even if it's after school, because they have to probably tell the parents to, there's going to be a 7 hour school, or sometimes during school hours, you go, usually from what our experiences, you go during school hours. So this class that you're going to do, this will probably set aside maybe an hour or two just for this process. So you have to do all that before, identify the class, and then 2, also, depending on the school in Bangladesh, I don't know if the boys and girls mix. If they don't mix in class, then you probably also want to do, you have to do what pertains in the school. If the school's not mixed, then when you're doing interviews, you do it for maybe boys only and girls only. And that's also very important. Now, in one of the things we also do is that for each school when we go, you have to plan to give the kids, at least after this, the 2 things you have to do. You talk to the school to ask if you want to give them, because of just a form of compensation. What we've given previously has been stuff that are related to toiletries, related to hygiene in the school. For example, if you want to donate, for example, toilet rolls, if they don't use it, maybe you want to donate um, um, detergents for cleaning, or even you want to donate soap for washing hands. Or alternatively, also what we've done is because after that you've done this surveys, the kids are really sometimes tired. So we probably also provide them with snacks or something for them whilst in school. I don't know how you've done it previously, Nuhu. I don't know if Sergey has Bangladesh done school surveys before.
They did, but it was done by the team at Data and not by
Oh, yeah. Sorry,
ICDDRB.
sorry. I forgot
Um,
data. So it wasn't them.
yeah.
So you have to do all these arrangements. So you can provide them with snacks after the interview. That's something you can also talk to the school. You have to just make sure that the school you work with the school to understand what you are going to do. And then in terms of compensation, you also work with the school to do that. Usually we provide the kids with some snacks after the interview. Now, once you've identified the school, now you have to identify the classes. Usually we recommend that you look for children at the age of 10 and 12. In most countries, it's the fourth and sixth grade, but I don't know what the situation is in Bangladesh. So so we are saying that at least, so you have to look at, and that's if resources permit, at least one class in each neighborhood. So one class in each ward. I want to, be specific to your situation. So in each ward, so if you can get two schools, if there are more than one school in each ward, I think that's fine. If there's one, you can focus on the one, and then you can have it in at least one class. So as I've mentioned also, in the process of engaging the school before you go to the school, you have to obtain informed consent, and that's you have to do what is pertains in your country. In some countries, you have to go to the education ministry to collect this permit. Usually, when you go to the school directly, they can tell you the steps to take. Usually, it's easy when you go to the school. They'll be like, "Oh, you have to go to the education ministry to collect an approval, and then you also have to collect consent from the parents. Usually they can send a notice to the kids to tell their parents that they are going to be interviewed. Sometimes in some jurisdictions, the head teacher is okay. The head teacher can say, no, it's fine. You don't have to take an informed consent. So you have to look at what is the common procedure, the accepted norm in your jurisdiction. And then once you've selected and you're about to do the survey in the school, you have to take an assent from the student. So the assent doesn't require, the consent requires a formal communication. Assent just, you have to explain to the kids what you are going to do. And if they want to stay in class, they have to say yes. If they don't feel comfortable and they want to leave, that's also permitted for them to leave. And then you have to introduce the team. So usually you have to form a team to do this survey. Because of the logistics required, which I'll explain later, you really need, from our experience, you need at least 4 people to support you for each survey. You need at least 4 people. There has to be the person who will be reading the survey. And then there has to be the person who go around to give out the tokens. And then there has to be somebody who collects the tokens, and there has to be somebody who records the results. So at least you need 4 people to manage this. 3 can work well, but 4, I think, usually from what we done works well. And then you have to explain the purpose of the survey, and then you have to explain the voting method. Now I think I'll discuss the voting method now. So the way you administer this is that once you ask a question, the students should sit upright when you ask the question, and make sure they understand the question first. So make sure every student understands the question. Once they understand the question, you ask them to put their heads down on the desk. Okay. Once you've done that, you pass out the tokens to each student before each question for yes answers. Now, what we mean by tokens is that this could be a marble. This could be something that kids are, friendly with. It could be, in some countries they use the counter, what we call the on in most of these, for example, if you have a marble, something that the kids can hold and use to give an answer to. So it could be a marble, it could be any other things that are common in your community. So things that kids play around with, that's what we usually recommend for you to use as a token. So once they put their heads on the table, after I've asked the question, you pass the tokens around for all the students. Now, once you do that, um, um, then you mention the possible answers to the questions. Okay. So, for example, if there are 4 possible answers, you have to read all that to them. Now, once you've done that, you have to ask the kids to raise their hands, and then they raise their hands if their answer for the answer. For example, if it's option A, that that is if option A is their answer, they raise their hands for option A. Once they raise their hands for option A, you go around the class with their heads down and collect the token or whatever it is you give to them. And that will be the that will be the response to that question. Okay. And you have to do this for each sub question. Okay. So if their answer is B, once you do option A, you collect it and then you record it. If their answer is B, if the questions, if you read the response, which is maybe option B, you do the same thing. You go around and collect the marbles. Now, at the end of each question, you have to make sure that students are still not keeping the tokens. So, for example, if you have 20 students in class, and you have 4 options, we expect everybody to at least select one option. At the end of the question, if you have 20 tokens, when you collect all the tokens, it should add up to 20 so that you don't have students um, voting more than once, because if the person has a token and you don't collect it whilst they raise their hands, then there's a possibility that a person can vote twice. Okay. 2, to make sure that everybody has given a response at the end of each question. So this is how it works. I think we had a video. I wanted to show you a video, but I don't know if
Is it working?
I'm not too sure. Let me stop and see, and then come back and see if I can share the video.
Yeah.
Because we had a video that at least tells you. No, unfortunately it's not working.
Let me see if I can get it to work, and if I do, I'll pull
Yeah,
it.
if you can do then.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that. Really quickly.
Yeah, so while Soja is trying to see if the video works, I'm gonna go back and share my screen so that if you have any questions related to this, we can discuss. So any questions related to the school survey? Is this clear? The process for the school
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay.
Yeah, Simki, maybe you can highlight what we have discussed about the consent, and like you have talked with the school headmaster, and also after that, Surajappa, if you shared the experience of Bangladesh SaniPath school survey consent form process, whether we went for the ministry or other things.
Sure. Nubai, I'll have to go back and actually look at what the process was for Bangladesh in the past. I believe they did some, but I'll go back and look at my notes from that time because I haven't looked at it recently. But I can go back and do that, and I'll send you all the information over email.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Simpi.
Yeah, bhai, I got it.
Yeah, and I will just please share what we have discussed with the, like you called the headmaster and what their response was about the school survey and how they will support us.
I called the two headmaster of Ward 1 and Ward 4, and they said that they are okay with the survey, school survey, and they have no issue. But our concern was like, if we go there and they asked any administrative letter or any kind of legal protocol, like we will conduct a survey in their school. So if they asked anything, so in that case, what can we do? Do we need any legal follow any? Do we need follow any legal procedure or collect any protocol, or we can just share them our IRB approval letter or something like that? Because in municipality, the headmaster and the teachers are like it's like they don't used to with the IRB protocol or IRB approval later. They only well familiar with the uh, uh, later, like from government officials and from ministry or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's very common in most places. So
Yes, Habib bhai, and also like we have like local partner who usually do the have the all the approvals and they are
yeah.
going to implement a lot of things. So go we plan to actually collaborate with them. We will rely on their judgment as well.
Mhm.
So we don't want to raise initially about like whether we need ministerial approval or not in from
Okay,
the in
I
front of the
get
head
it.
teacher,
Yeah,
because
I get it. Yeah.
it may create another problem rather
Yeah,
than we
that's true.
just go and
That's true.
get
So
that get
just
the
follow that.
concept. Yeah.
Yeah, just follow the advice
Yeah.
that you get from your local groups. I think that's always works better. Yeah, but you have to go, and I think important to explain so the schools are prepared ahead of time. I think that's very important so they know what's going to happen. And usually also, I think I skipped this, you need about 15 to 20 students. When you go more than that, you're going to have a problem. So you have to make sure that you don't go more than 20 students. Even if there are more than that in the class, make sure, you have just that number and have, if it's mixed, have a balance. If it's just, one gender, also just have that number, so that you can do this efficiently.
I have one question regarding this. If we go to the class teacher and we asked them that we want to conduct a survey from their school, we want 10 to 20 students from mixed changer and from sixth grade or from eighth grade. So if they allow us to provide 10 to 20 students from a separate classroom, then we can then in that case, can we do this? Like we can conduct a survey separately or extract 20 students from any classroom by via those class teacher.
Yes, I think you can let the teacher, as far as they are from the same class, or even there if it's two, usually we recommend from the same class. So if you want to do fourth grade, you do fourth grade. If you want to do fifth grade, you do fifth grade. If you want to do sixth grade, you do sixth grade. So
Oh,
usually, yes. So if the teacher, they have like 40 students and you want to do 10 or 15, or if you want to do 15 or 20, yes, you can allow the teacher to select the students. I think that's fine.
so they must be from the same class.
Yes, so we recommend that they must be from the same class.
Okay.
That is if they have the number, okay? If they have the number. So we are assuming they have more than that in the class. So it's usually better to have them from the same class instead of picking different kids from different, because we want their answers to be of the same, they from the same, thinking, the same community, the same class. If it's fifth grade, it has to be fifth grade. If it's sixth grade, it has to be sixth grade, but not mixing them across.
Okay, got it.
And usually also logistic wise, it makes it easy for the school. Because you want to minimize disruptions to class. So if you pick from different classes, it means you are disrupting 2 or 3 classes at the same time.
Okay, so can we conduct a survey, school survey in a school, or we can conduct 2 or more survey in a school, or only one survey in a school?
Yes, what we say is if one, you have to determine how many in each ward. If you have one school, we recommend you do at least one. If you have the chance to do more than one, that's okay. But at least one in each school. I think that's the recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Habib, I was able to get another school survey video to work.
Okay.
If
Let me stop sharing.
it's yeah, let me see if I can. Oops. It's not it's a little loud, but this was actually from Calcutta. And this is an example of the school survey. So let me go. It's about 30 seconds of it, so you'll see just have an idea of how it looked. So let me see if I can get, I'm gonna share my sound as well so you can see. Okay, is everyone seeing this video on my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna play. What was it? Okay. So that's just a short video. Hopefully you were able to see it okay. But in the video, you can see that they ask the question and then the students, they raise their hand and they have this yellow ball in their hand, like a small ball that they collected the ball and put their hand down when they voted for the question. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what Habib was talking about. Okay, back to you, Habib.
Thank you so much, Sergio. Yes, so yes, so I think also one of the things you should do is try and go through all the questions yourself and have, if you can have like, you can have a mock of it. You can have like, if you have kids in school, so if kids home, or if you can have like 2 or 3 kids, try and practice with them. Because if you don't go through the questions yourself and you get there, you're going to face some challenges. You have to go through the questions and then understand how to even ask the kids the questions so that they understand it. It's very, very important, because if you're going to say it exactly as it is in the forms, the kids might not understand. So you have to say it in the form and simple language for the kids to understand. So you have to go through all the questions, think about how you ask the questions so the kids would understand. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it's there.
Yes, that'll be all from my end.
Okay. So For the school survey, I think something to keep in mind is that you are recording the answer of the aggregate, right? So you're recording how many people answer yes in the whole classroom for each option. So that's just a difference that's important to keep in mind between like household survey where you're just recording each individual's answer, but in the school and the community survey for both of those, like Habib said, when they raise their hand, you're counting how many people are raising their hand. And you can then keep track of who is raised their hand based on the token they have in their hand to make sure they're not raising their hand multiple times because sometimes children like to do that. And then you record the number of people who agreed that they had whatever experience or said yes to each question. So yeah. Okay. So, since we have a little bit of time, I just wanted to also just bring up the mobile data collection, just to make sure that you have an idea. It will be important for you all to practice this on your own. But I'm just going to quickly kind of go through the components for it so that you have an idea and then can practice on your own. As Habib said, I think practice is going to be important for all of these pieces. But before we move on, is there any other question for the school survey or the surveys in general?
Yeah, I just want to ask a bit earlier. Sinki asked to if we collect more than one school survey from the same school.
Uh, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I just wanted to know whether we can collect more than one survey from the same school, or just we should collect one survey from a school.
Yes. So yes, that's what I'm saying. If you have we recommend at least one. Because what we're trying to do is to minimize as much as possible disruption to the school process. You imagine when you go, even doing one, that's like taking an hour off the regular school time. So if you can do one, I think we think for one for each class, one for each school, with that's fine. You don't need to do more than one. If there's opportunity to do more than one, that's fine. But for now, I think I'll recommend just doing one in each school, and then that should be okay.
Okay, got it.
Other questions?
From my end, no more question.
Okay.
If Upama Appu want to ask anything? No, no questions from me as well.
Okay, great. So I'll just share then this quick presentation on the mobile data collection, and I will send this to you. We'll send all of these presentations to you for your reference, but I know that your team has done mobile data collection before with ODK, with Kobo Collect. Um, this is very similar. There's really only one key difference, which I will highlight. And so I just want to quickly go through this so you have some sense and would encourage you all to practice this and make sure that you get it right before you start the full data collection. So I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. So, I think just it's important to mention why we're doing mobile data collection. So there's some major benefits to mobile data collection. Data is immediately uploaded if you either if you have 3G or cellular network, or as soon as you get on Wi-Fi if you're doing it offline and then you come back, which is generally easier for the field. So the good thing is that um, it's not like paper forms, which are much easier to lose or get damaged. And so as soon as you uploaded it to the server, the data remains safe. There's also the benefit of in-form validation, which is when, for example, if you have a question about how old is somebody, and somebody accidentally answers that someone is 1,000 years old, you can set up the data form to not allow an answer over, for example, 110 or something like that's more reasonable. Because we know that at least as of now, we have not had humans live till 1,000 years old. So you can kind of control and improve the quality of data by building in these checks within your data collection. And it also eliminates the need for a manual data entry step. So if you collect on a paper form and then enter it on a computer, it's an opportunity for more error and more, it's a common source of error. There's typos, there's mistakes, things like that. And then this also has the benefit of allowing for the analysis to happen in real time. So what I was showing you before about the analysis on the SaniPath website and the pie charts and the histograms and the people plots, that is possible because we are constantly sending data to the server so it can refresh and show you new data and updated information. And you can make changes to forms quickly or and things without wasting paper. So that's another advantage of using mobile data collection. So, we talked about the project management interface, which is the website. So, this is where you customize the deployment. You can make the data collection forms and monitor data collection for QA, QC. And now, we also talked about the analysis and visualization, which is the third kind of component, but we're really now going to talk about briefly mobile data collection and the data repository. So the mobile data collection for this with Kobo Collect has to be done on Android devices, and then all the data are stored on secure servers, and you can also do data management and editing on Kobo Toolbox. So this is, we talked about the account setup and customization. So we're really going to talk about the second one, the data form and repository today. But just as a review, the SaniPath tool website allows you to customize the data collection, and the choices that you make on the page for configuration influences the development of the data collection tool. So remember, if you don't select a pathway on the SaniPath tool website, it's not going to show up on the Kobo toolbox. If you add a neighborhood there, it will show up, things like that. So when you register for a SaniPath tool account, as I mentioned, you're automatically registered for an account on Kobo Toolbox. And that's where the data is what we use to collect the data and manage it. It's an ODK-based survey form. So if you're familiar with ODK, it uses the same structure, and it's developed and customized based on the configuration choices you made on the SaniPath tool website. And so these forms can be loaded on Android devices using the Kobo Collect app. So, these are the different forms that you would expect to see for SaniPath. So you'll have the household survey, school survey, community, environmental, and lab survey, lab data entry. So this is what you probably are familiar with from using Kobo Toolbox and ODK before. So before you can actually start collecting data, you have to download the Kobo Collect app from the Android Google Play Store, and then you can install it to your phone. If you already have it on your phone and it's the most updated version, it will show up as choices of uninstall or open. But if you don't have it on your phone, you just click install. And then you have some particular steps that you need to go through to have Kobo Collect go. get together. So if you already have Kobo Collect on your phone, you should first complete and submit any data from previous projects. So, from the home page, look at the saved forms and then also send those forms or delete them just to make sure that you aren't, losing any data by setting it up for the SaniPath tool. And these are some screen grabs. So this is what the Kobo Collect app looks like. And in the top corner, there's like a three sort of dots. And then you can choose, like that goes to the settings. And you can choose the server. And this is the only difference really from using Kobo Collect for the public website and SaniPath. So if you're using the public Kobo Collect, there will already be a website URL in here that goes to the Kobo Toolbox website and server. And that leads to the main Kobo Toolbox website. But if you put in this um, URL. And for example, you would put tool.collect.sanipath.org, and instead of July 5th, that's just an example username, you would put the username from your Kobo Toolbox account. So if it's BD Practice or Bangladesh Test or whatever it is, you put that there. And then you put the username and the password for your Kobo Toolbox account. So once you do that, it will pull the forms specific to the SaniPath assessment for Kobo Toolbox. And then you can select whichever forms you want to download. So what I recommend is just to download the forms that the enumerators or field workers who are using that form will use. So oftentimes you may have different people doing sample collection than you will have doing household surveys. So I would only download the sample collection form for them so they don't get confused. So depending on the phone. But you can download all of the forms to one phone, and as well is for you as a project manager. Another thing that's worth to mention here is because we have been talking about having some separate surveys, for example, the marketplace surveys. If those are on the regular kind of public Kobo toolbox, you will need to make sure that this URL and username and password matches what it should be for that Kobo toolbox account. So what I would suggest is that you use one dedicated Android phone for those surveys, one or two or however many, and then keep the other ones logged into the SaniPath server so you don't have to change between phones or change between accounts. So once you get there, the beginning to fill out a survey is pretty straightforward. You would click up, there's a button that says fill blank form, and then you select the survey you want to fill out, and then you swipe right or left to navigate different questions. Most of the questions in our surveys are required, so they won't let you swipe without providing an answer. So if you want to exit without saving, there's a triangle button on the bottom of the screen and you can select ignore changes. But if you do want to save, you can tap the triangle button. And there is a way to also save it. I'll change that. And then you can also reopen save surveys. So there's actually here you can see like edit saved forms. So you can open the save form and then check, make any changes, and then you can send the finalized form. We recommend using that as project managers to review all the data the field staff collects before you send it on the Wi-Fi. So have everybody save their phones offline and not send them immediately. Then somebody checks it at the end of the day and then submit it. After you're done collecting data for the day, the forms can be uploaded to the server immediately with data or Wi-Fi connection. But to like, and that will be I think it's best to do this when everybody returns to the office at the end of the day rather than doing it from the field. So we don't recommend using sort of cellular 3G or 5G in the field to upload the data because we can actually have better control over the quality and make sure all the data are submitted if everybody saves the forms in the field, comes back to the office, checks it, and then uploads it manually using Wi-Fi. And so there is a home screen where you can click send finalized forms and you can select all of the forms that you want submitted. So you can see this button right here, send finalized forms, and then you can submit them and you can see which forms have been sent to. So some general tips for mobile data collection. So it's important that all of the enumerators are familiar with the form before collecting the data and they're familiar with the phone as well. You know, they know how to use it, they feel comfortable using the app. We recommend charging the phone to 100% before dealing with the field, and if possible, carrying an extra battery pack or like power bank in case they run low on battery power. And then also, because we've seen this become an issue in the past, we encourage everybody, and especially the field managers, to hold the team accountable to not use the phone for non-work related activities like YouTube or personal emails, because we don't want that to affect the integrity of the data collection and or cause any other issues. So really that's just the brief overview of the mobile data collection. I know the team at ICDDRB has experience with mobile data collection, so some of this probably is very familiar to you, but we will share this PowerPoint. We will share like the guidelines for how to connect to the correct SaniPath server. But that's kind of the main thing I think that is important for you all to remember is that you will just have to connect to the specific server for SaniPath to be able to download and send the forms to the SaniPath server, as opposed to the regular Kobo Toolbox server. So I think with that, I'll just stop there and see if there's any questions on that.
No, from my end, I have no question because I am already used to collect data from this to from you these similar types of tools like
Okay,
ODK.
great.
I have also no question regarding this, but I have one question. Not it's not question. I want to inform you that it's an off topic. We have to update Promise Consortium slide every Wednesday in the Google Drive. But a few weeks ago, I got to know that the slide was deleted from the drive, and I have no backup of that previous data. So in that case, what can I do about this?
Oh, I don't know how it got deleted. I'm sorry to hear that. If you don't have a backup, I think for now, I think it's okay, but we'll just being I'll try and check the folder, see if I can find an old version, if there's some sort of deleted. Usually Google automatically saves versions, so I can try and see if I can find it. But if not, I would say just moving forward, we'll just try to be careful about that. But yeah, I'm sorry that it got deleted. I don't know what hap must have happened there.
Yeah, I just wanted to update some data, and I found that the slide is deleted by someone, and I don't know how to extract the previous data or something.
If
So
if
I
you
just
have
wanted to
any
inform you.
if you have any notes or anything, you can upload those just so we have some of the
Um,
information. But if not, then I think we'll just have to be careful moving forward and to try and make sure that nothing gets accidentally deleted. It might have been while somebody was going through a folder or something like that. Maybe it was accidentally deleted. So maybe Habib, we should think about just I guess like making sure everybody knows that not to delete anything in any of the folders because I know all of the team members from the wider consortium have access to it too.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? I know it's a lot of information. I know it's getting late for you as well. As I said, we are available if you have other questions. I know that there's a few things Nubai had mentioned that we want to make decisions about this week. So I do please encourage you to send me and Habib the information, and we'll take a look and try to give you our best advice. But and we'll also send you the recording from the last meeting, as well as all of these slides for you to review. And if you have on your own time, if you have any other questions or want to take a look back at it.
Okay, that sounds great.
Simki, do you have any common WhatsApp group for this study?
No.
I think it would be
So
great to set one up. I think that might be useful. Certainly within all the people who are involved in the ICDDRB side from the field team and the lab team, I think that's very important. But we can also set one up with the Emory team if there's questions that come up during data collection as well. So yes,
Okay.
please feel free to set one up um and you can invite us to it too. Yeah.
Hey, I also wanted to advise just on uploading stuff. So I think you should always have your own slides and then you upload them. So just in case somebody deletes it, you can always re-upload what you have. So keep always just whatever you do, keep your own copy. And then because it's sometimes out of our hands, we just have working with a lot of people. I've looked at your folder and I can't find even one one presentation. And I know Nuhu and Co have done a couple of others, and I'm sure they have their slides. So Nuhu, if you can share those slides, we can upload them again. But always instead of going in and in that folder and generating a new slides from there, advice on your own computers. You have your own slides for your own records, and then you can then upload it to the general folder where we have your country updates. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's good advice.
from now I will get more careful about it. But the previous data was it's almost from last few months, so I cannot remember what I was uploaded and updated there. But I can remember last 2 or 3 months data, so I can upload this or update the new data. But before 2 or 3 months, what was the data, I cannot remember. So, and I have no backup slides right now. And
Oh,
I also talked with Nuhu Bhai, and he also searched in his folders or something, and he told that he has no backup.
oh, that's so sorry to hear about that. Yeah. So moving forward, I think you should have because we have monthly meetings. So we have for each month, do generate a new slides for each month. So you just label them by the month. And then you have your own records, and then we can upload that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'll see if I don't know what happened, but I have to look and see, go to my trash, our colleague's trash and see if it's in the trash. If it hasn't been done in the last 30 days, maybe we can recover that. We'll look more into that. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, then we'll go ahead and wrap up today. And but if of course, as you think and you start working on things, if something comes up, you can always be in touch with us. So yes, I hope it was useful. And yes, hopefully then we can move forward and have a very successful data collection in Bangladesh.
Thank you,
Yeah, we
Surajapa.
also
Thank
hope
you, Habib
so.
bhai. These are really, really very important and like important meeting for us because for me as well, I attended from the beginning to now, and I have learned a lot of things from today's training, particularly school surveys. That was really interesting, and thank you very much. And the for Bangladesh team, I think Simki, Imam, and Upoma, please listen to the recording again tomorrow and follow step by step and write down all the troubleshooting you have and try to send an email tomorrow about the experience and try to do a test run as well, not to the field but within the office, and try to do a mock test as well, like mock interview within the team, and submit and get feedback from memory team by tomorrow. So that's the initial things, and hopefully in next 2 or 3 days we can finalize these things. Thank you very much.